Hello, beautiful world, and welcome to Raven Thistle Live. Have I got some sunshine for you? Have I got some moonlight for you? And I definitely have all the realness in between. Now, on Raven Thistle Live, we strive to provide a one of a kind experience with access to knowledge and wisdom to enhance your life. We share insights on to cultivate your holistic well being from your body to your mind to your spirit. And today, we will be joined by the world's first Black ordained Akawak monk, Bhante Panna. He's going to visit us all the way from Thailand. Now, he's going to share some raw realness with us about life's most precious insights, from gaining peace to sourcing true joy, as well as a peek into what the future holds for Black spirituality the world over. Now, before I introduce our guest to you, I want to place a special spotlight on our sponsor. Tonight's episode will be sponsored by Enritual Life Coaching, which is dedicated to deepening and cultivating the spiritual lives of Black men. Now, if you find yourself seeking more depth and real transformation from the heart on your journey, you've tuned into the right episode, because after our talk with Bhante Panna, I'll share information on how you can get spiritual life coaching from tonight's sponsor, Enritual. Now, we have the privilege of sharing space with a brilliant mind and a bright light in the world of spirituality, a brother from Seattle, Washington, who has dedicated his life to the pursuit of true enlightenment as the first ordained Akawak monk who's Black from America, now living in Thailand, and the first foreigner to be ordained in this tradition in Cambodia, a trailblazer and a visionary. Please welcome Bhante Panna. Hello there.
Peace, blessings, love, and light. Love supreme to everybody. Thank you for having me on the show, and such a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's the least that I can do. I wish I had more to tell, but I know that you will do a much better job of introducing yourself to us. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, friend. How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm feeling very lovely. I was really looking forward to come on the show and be able to share whatever I can with you and whoever has a question about anything. And I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. You heard him right, folks. Please drop your comments, your questions, and we will try to get to them tonight. So I want to kick off our conversation by asking you to tell me about your journey, starting with growing up in Seattle, Washington. How did that path lead to your decision to becoming a monk?
Well, to make a very long story short, I think I was kind of raised and bred for this condition. Um, I was a child that had an older brother that was a lot older than me, and a younger sister that lived with her mother in another state. I was always kind of by myself, so to speak, and I went to many different schools in my life. So that means I never really established a firm relationship with my friends. I was very independent growing up, and I had to harness in on a bunch of skills that would always keep my mind occupied. And I had to be very resilient and self growth or self mastery or skills that required me to do things alone. And from that, growing up to my spirituality, um, moving into spirituality from that, I was always on the search for something greater than myself, and always in the search for something that would answer to the problems that I had in life, meaning what was the purpose of life? What was the anticipated motivations of why we get up in the morning and do the things that we do? It can't just be for monetary gain, or for material things that fade off, and we become used to them and complain about them and throw them out later. And I started to travel after, I would say, about my last year of high school. I started to travel because I was looking for something. I didn't really know what it was. I knew it had something to do with God or spirituality. You know, I went through Christianity, I went through Orthodox Islam for many years. Let's say about 18 years. I was an Orthodox Muslim for about 18 years or more. And I felt like I was always trying to grasp the spiritual side of life, this Gnostic or way out of the human experience. And it led me to be where I am right now, which is Buddhism, because I took a job as a teacher here in Thailand, and that's when I really became face to face in contact with Buddhism per se, and how they viewed the human experience. And I fell in love when I saw myself in all of these Buddha images. I saw me. I saw the way I contemplated life, and it felt like this is what I've been looking for. And shortly after, a few years, I ordained in Angkor Wat, Cambodia.
Wow. That is quite a journey. So the first time that I actually spoke to you, I was surprised by just how down to earth you are and how you're not, some far away personality that's kind of larger than a normal person. So that's very refreshing, and I appreciate you sharing why that is, because your journey to becoming a monk sounds a lot like many of our journeys, just kind of searching in life and not sure what we're looking for until we actually find it. So what I wonder is, at a time when most people find it difficult to focus, most people find their default filler activity to be social media, and you've chosen to leave the standard American lifestyle and reject conformity there. Our generation struggles more than any other with self-image, with anxiety, with depression. Tell me what you wish that we all knew. What perspective do you have that you believe would transform this harmful aspect of modern culture?
That's a very good and wonderful question. And I will say that you are what you pay attention to, and you are what you pay attention to. You are what you are exposed around most. You are what your peer base, your peer groups are. And social media is a tool like a double-edged sword. You can use it for bad or good. And there's always going to be this, there's always going to be that type of hindrance to social media. But if you want to find out who you are, what makes you, and you want to go on the natural path, you have to surround yourself by nature. Because when you completely immerse yourself in nature, camping, staying inside the forest, and constantly being surrounded by the natural, your body, your mind, your conscious, your speech, your whole makeup starts to go, and it starts to reflect what is around it. It starts to reflect the sun, it starts to reflect the nature, it starts to reflect the trees, it starts to reflect the natural growth process. And you start to find out that the artificial natural processes are exactly what they are. They're artificial. They are there for means to make you a consumer. They're there for you to be a better productive member of a system or an environment that you don't have control over, that you don't realize your true potential. So the best thing for you to do is to step outside of yourself and look at the things that are around you in your life and start to deeply look at them and start to use the art of subtraction. The art of subtraction here means to slowly subtract the things away from your life and to see how much grasp they actually hold over your conscious, your actions, your speech, and the way that you respond to these subtractions and additions to your life. They're going to either influence your behavior, or they're going to make you realize that you have become completely dependent on these things, which is not liberation, but that is enslavement or entrapment. And if you feel like you're being entrapped by these things, maybe you need to question their existence in your present moment. So I think that the best thing that you could possibly do for all of us that are living in this type of world where we really want to get to know ourselves is start to decrease and increase the love, compassion we have, and contentment we have in our hearts by being our best friend, being our best commodity, and being our best guide to understanding self without the distractions.
Wow. What would you say is step one to becoming your own best friend?
Accepting that you make mistakes and accept that you have them, and forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for all the things that you've done. Stop holding yourself back because you think you're not good enough because you've made a mistake. It is through that mistake where your wisdom will arise. It is through that mistake that you'll realize that it is not a death sentence. It is not a hell sentence where you be there forever. It is a point where you realize that this is where unskillful unwholesomeness resides. And because of that mistake, okay, you did it once. You're not doing it every day. So you don't need to beat yourself up every day for something you did once. You take that as an experience and you realize not was it only that action, that thought or mind state, it came with so many different partners. It came with an attitude, it came with a emotion, it came with a mindset, it came with a flavor, it came with a character, it came with economic. There's so many things that came with, and you need to look at the results of the things that you are participating with. And that the results of these actions, these speeches and mindsets are leading to the unwholesome, then you need to drop them. And the reason why there's so much guilt is because you're not replacing it with wholesomeness. You're not replacing it with a balancing cup. You're too much time focusing on the negative because there's not enough positive to balance it out. And once you start to reap the benefit of positivity, you keep adding more. It doesn't get rid of the negativity, but it makes the scale higher. So when these negative thoughts and things interrupt your peace, you have more wholesomeness to remember than the negativity that is there knocking at your door, busting your door in, telling you you can't be better because we have so much of this unresolved issues. You might have a knock on the door that said there's an unresolved issue, but you said, yes, there's an unresolved issue, but I have so much wholesomeness to deal with right now. So you might slip in the door, but you're going to be flooded with love. You're going to be flooded with passion. You're going to be flooded with wisdom and how to break you apart down to the core elements of what that was. And it doesn't have so much push to the wind in your sail. It's a blow instead of a constant tornado. It's just a blow, not a tornado anymore. So it doesn't hurt you as much anymore. This is also called the art of letting go. We call this disattachment, becoming disenchanted by the feelings of negativity, by the feelings of damnation. You just don't have time for it anymore. You just kind of give it up to itself. It doesn't belong to you. It is not you. It is a experience. It is just something that happened on the path, but it's not something that you continually bring with you. It's like a backpack. You put a backpack on, you take it off. You don't carry it for the whole life. And I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely, it does. Wow. What a perspective on feeling guilt and grieving for your own mistakes. Um, and it also makes me think about the fact that so many of us struggle with anxiety now. And a lot of times, sometimes that anxiety is coming from our own guilt, and sometimes it's coming from um, external stimulants. What would you say about that? What's your perspective on having fear and kind of being in a steady state of fear or anxiety?
Anxiety points to two things as far as my experience. And I did want to say, and I actually forgot to say for everyone, that I'm not a master of meditation, nor am I a philosopher or a PhD scholar in Buddhism. I'm just a higher ordained monk that has been practicing Buddhism for the past five years. So I did want to say that. I forgot to tell you guys that. And how to deal with anxiety from my own experience. I used to suffer from anxiety. Was there's two problems happening. It's either attachment to the past that you cannot change, or is attachment to the future, anticipation from the future that has yet to come. This is what builds your anxiety, is too much constant remembrance of grief and regrets from the past that are seeping into your future moment. You can't change that. It's gone. Leave it there. When something is dead, don't re-dig it up. You just learn from the lesson and not repeat it. And anxieties are coming from too much anticipation and reaching for the mythical berries of the future that are not promised to you. There's nothing promised to you. There's always a curveball in the future. You never know what's going to happen. You need to deal with the issue when it is there. And it doesn't mean not to be proactive. It means don't be reactionary. Your thoughts in your mind are always changing all the time. The world is something you don't control, and the actions or the experiences of the world are always also changing. We know that now by the situation that we're living in with the whole issue with the pandemic. Things rise and they fall. So the thing, if you want to control if you want to change your past and control the future, it can only take place in the present moment. If you're leading a wholesome life, a very what do you call it, a life of moral fortitude, then more likely your chances are you're not going to be cultivating the fruits of anger, greed, envy, harm, killing, and all these negativities of the heart. If you're cultivating an unwholesome, unskillful life, then you reap the benefits of what you've been harvesting. So there's no point of anxiety. That means the mind is overthinking, over talking about things that you need to stop paying attention to. Not every thought and whisper needs your participation. Remember, if you stop thinking about one thing, what does the mind do? It brings up another thought. If you don't pay attention to that one, it brings up another thought and another thought and another thought. You have to be more choosy of the quality of thought that comes in to your mindset. Got to be more choosy. You got to be pick, they say pick your battles. Well, the battles start by picking your thoughts that are going to help motivate you to be a better image of self, the better you, the more qualified self, the more the self that is helping you achieve your goals, not self-sabotage your effort.
Okay, I got a lot of that for sure. Since I've started my meditation journey about 6 years ago, it's definitely helped a lot with my anxiety, but it has not gotten rid of it. So I will work to apply these concepts. Reminds me of a book that I read called The Power of Now. Are you familiar with that book?
I am.
Yeah, it's a great read. Um, so I want to kind of shift gears just slightly here. Now, in your estimation, is this type of spiritual journey particularly important for the Black American community and the world's melanated diaspora? And if so, why would you say that is?
In my own experience, I think it is very phenomenal and it is very important for the Black community, because this is a path about practice. It is not about preaching. It is about applying your effort. And we know that when melanated people apply our effort, we become masters of the craft. Okay, we know that because we are the world's best entertainers. Now, if you take that energy for entertaining and look at it and take away take away the word entertainment and change it for practice, because it's all about action, then you'll be able to see that this path is for those that want to act and live the life of the spiritualist, not just talk about it. This is the problem with us as diaspora. We become great preachers, but our practice is very, very little. This is a path that teaches you to accept yourself, not to put yourself in a position where you don't have a place in history, except to be underneath your protagonist, underneath the foot of your master, so to speak. This is a path that is not talking about something that is a fantasy or something that can be called fantasy or chasing something outside of the self. This is about bringing the true divine self out of you to be able to see the divine in everything else. This is a path that's not talking about burning in damnation for the rest of your life, for being of a lower caste, for being of a lower race, or being birthed of a certain mother or father. This is talking about the elevation and cultivation of wholesomeness right here, right now, and to spread love, kindness, happiness, and compassion to your neighbor, and not to be on such a defensive attack mode. And I think that because of this constant bombardment of attack and destroy mode through our previous spiritual paths, it has made us very unaccepting of our own behaviors. I think that this path is more accepting of the world and all the people inside of it. It is all the beings inside of this world, and it's focusing on us. If I radiate love and happiness, then when that radiate bounce back, that's what will come back to you.
Beautiful. And I couldn't agree more. I think that there is a lack of practice, and there's a whole lot of preaching. So recently, I was lucky enough to catch you live talking with another Black monk, and you used the term true meditation. Can you talk to me about what that means? What is true meditation as opposed to what exactly?
True meditation is what I have been taught here in the monastery. Means meditation that um, true meditation means to be a meditation that comes without fetters, without the attachments of clinging to the world that makes you need to meditate in the first place. So that means a meditation without desires, wanting something, trying to manifest, trying to be, wanting happiness, to be in some happy place, to feel good. Meditation is bigger than just trying to feel good. If you want to feel good, go to an amusement park, go to a concert. Meditation is bigger than that. Meditation is a tool that we use to eradicate the defilements of the heart and to clear the consciousness from the clutter that has been built up from past lives, this life, and things that we've hidden away inside of our subconscious that destabilize our perceptions. So meditation without attachments mean when things rise, let them rise, but don't chase the dragon. And when things fall, let them fall. They weren't you, they weren't yours, and they didn't belong to you anyway. So when feelings of happiness, bliss, or sadness, anger arise, you have to remember they are not you. Because if they were, they'd still be there every single day. No, they come and go when you accept them, when you take their hand to dance. So true meditation is realizing that there is impermanence. There is impermanence in suffering. There is unsatisfactoriness in the world. There is a cause to the unsatisfactoriness. There is a way to get rid of or extinguish the sufferings that we have in our life. And there is a path, there is a eightfold path that will lead you out of this path of um, uh, defilements, called the
Hmm.
Four Noble Truths. We call this the Four Noble Truths.
Is that something that you can share with me?
I definitely could. The Four Noble Truths is one of the main pillars of the Buddhist concept. That is exactly what is called the Four Noble Truths, and it is one of our practices that we swear by, that we use to get rid of attachments in our life. And the word attachment doesn't mean that you're not allowed to love, have, you're not allowed to gain things. It means that these attachments that we have are the attachment that changes and alters your perception, your behaviors to make you um, that make you not want to let go of something that is promised expiration.
Hmm.
So that means objects, peoples, loves, jobs. We put those things over humanity, and this is the problem. I love you, but not as much as my car. I
Hmm.
like you, but not as much as not as much as I love to eat. You know, I love my mom, but I also love my wife, pitting one against the other.
Hmm.
You have to get rid of even the concept of love, even the concept of hate, all of them, you have to get rid of them because they cause you to 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 grasp and chase after, which does not elevate you out of the mindset and life or existence of rebirth, constant recycling and spinning back into this world. You
Hmm.
have to, beyond that, we have to do what is better. We have to do what is better, not just what is good, but we want to do what's better for everyone and every being without a partisan, even to the people that are distasteful in your eyesight.
Hmm. Now, in your practice, is there a degree to which attachments like love are things that support you on your growth journey and are helpful to your growth?
Yes, for example, love. For example, you have to love what you're doing. You have to have a love for your path and your growth. You have to see that even though there's going to be difficulties, hardships, and you're going to have ill feelings towards certain things that you're experiencing in the path, it is there to purify you like hot coals that purify iron to make it stronger. But it takes a level of reflection. And because we don't have good communications with patience, we give up. But
Hmm.
you have what we call vidya. Vidya means perseverance, endurance. That you know that through this practice, it is going to lead you to self mastery and tastes of wisdom and enlightenment.
Hmm.
So you must practice love, but this love is different from a physical love. We like to use the word compassion because love is a part of compassion. Compassion is bigger than love itself.
Hmm.
So this compassion means it also consists of pity, selflessness, love. It's comprised of um, joy and equanimity, or um, empathetic joy for ourselves and others' happiness also. Sympathetic joy, I'm sorry. Sympathetic joy for others as well. Sorry.
I like that. I like sympathetic joy. That that makes me feel happy. Just the terminology, because I feel like that's something that I carry with me all the time. Genuine
Yeah.
joy for when others are joyful.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I have a question that's come in. It says, it seems like so many of us have been looking for greater enlightenment during the pandemic. Even Western churches had to find ways to connect with the people that were not dependent on personality in buildings. So I'm guessing from that, the question would be, During the pandemic, when most of us are in isolation, what's a takeaway that you would give us in order to cultivate better sense of the compassion that you're describing?
Well, I will say that because of the pandemic, this is such an opportunity for you, for us, and for people around the world to use this as an opportunity for it's an opportunity to see the true divine self. You're
Mm,
spending a lot of time knowing who you are and who has been inside of and trying to commandeer your thoughts in your mind the most.
mm,
So it is a good time to sit and find out what's going on in your system. Do you really like what you supposedly like? Do you really hate the things that you really hate? It's a good time for self-reflection. This is the age of change. This is the age of self, I guess you could call it like self-seclusion, and really find out that in this time, a lot of the things we learned, a lot of the things that we have been, uh, um, a lot of things we taught or been indoctrinated, they're actually things that haven't really helped us at all.
mm,
They've actually hindered our development and skewed our perception of what life really means. We start to realize that pieces of paper don't mean anything.
mm,
Titles don't mean anything. We start to realize what is important in our life: our families, our our loved ones. Um, we start to really see the things and the things that we took advantage of.
mm,
We indulged in the things that were probably of no beneficial value to us. And we start to realize that if I had another opportunity, I'm going to sit down and pay more attention to the things that I thought that are more valuable to my life. I get so many people that contact me and tell me how much they don't like their jobs.
mm,
And in the pandemic, the only thing that they wish they did was go out in nature more, that's a good thing.
mm,
So uh, I would definitely say take this time to focus on your breath and your breathing and make that your divine intimate friend, because it's been with you since the day that you've been born and will always be there until your last moment of breath. So make that your divine intimate friend to show you how to reach the inside of yourself, not the breath itself, but the essence of what the breath means. That's the breath of life. So breathe in a natural, normal setting and use that to find your divine consciousness, and bring that and follow that until you find your peace, and bring it and carry that with you all times through any circumstance.
mm. That's extremely applicable for all of us. So if you find yourself anxious in a board meeting, you can track your breath and reconnect to your essence through your breath. If you find yourself frustrated or angry in traffic, you can do the same thing before you have a difficult conversation with your kids or your partner, or even with yourself. You can track your breath and have that same experience. Are there particular breathing techniques or breathing exercises that you would recommend for those of us who are on the beginning path of pranayama?
Yes, yeah, there is. There's a lot of different techniques. The technique that we use in the monastery is called anapanasati, which is breath meditation. Also can be translated also as body awareness. And it's all internal. It's not about the external, even though it is there, but it's all about internal. What is going inside the body? So that means to find your breath by not forcing it or holding it back. Breathe normal, because your body is going to sink back down into its natural disposition in any way. And the longer you sit, the longer you start to notice that the anxieties and thoughts in the mind change. When the heart beats fast, the mind is always racing. The images and visions inside your mind are always racing as well. But the longer you sit down, the images start to smoothen out. And when the images start to smoothen out, you can see what is helpful, what is skillful, and what is there from contact, being in contact with certain elements in your life, whether it be TV or music or circumstances in your life, and you know you can put that to the side. And the more that you start to develop meditation skills, you start to be able to skate through and start to see where these thoughts are coming from and where your intention is trying to go to. And that's very important for you as a meditator or a person that is following the breath, is that it doesn't matter where you are in the world or what you're doing, you can use that breath as a way to calm and collect your thoughts so you can have better concentration and comprehension of your divine consciousness or your divine self.
Thank you. So we have another question that's come in. Says, I
Sure.
remember watching a network special on religions decades ago, and one of the takeaways was that the world's religions and spirituality really share more in common than we were taught. A love of parents, a love of nature, respect of neighbors, etc. As a student of different religions throughout your life, would you agree?
Yes, I do. I do agree. But I don't want to say that this is because there's just like a, we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all holding hands. It's all the same thing. That's too, I don't want to be that naive. There's a lot of differences, but we call this the natural progression of the human existence. I mean, it's very, this is called the Dharma, which is the divine. This is called the Dharma, which is the divine, under the divine governance of everything in creation. To be kind, to be loving, to be compassionate, to love and respect the parents. You don't have to have a title to bear these fruits. You just need to be mindful. There's no title for that. It just goes under the umbrella of wholesomeness. And I think that titles get us very confused. Titles mean copyrights. Titles means them and us. Once you kind of back away from that and start to use self-mastery without the titles, you're able to see skillfulness regardless of whatever color or placard they put over the title. Wholesomeness is just going to be wholesomeness. Forget the religious titles and names.
Good answer, as was expected. Now, in my experience, meditation has been a space where real healing can take place in the heart, in the mind, and in the soul. Can you share any wisdom about true healing and growth that you've gained on your journey?
Wow, that's a really big and beautiful, nice question. Healing comes when you no longer feel the need to act out negative responses to someone's negative behavior towards you. Healing comes when somebody comes with their funky attitude, funky behaviors, or attitudes and speech, and you don't need to respond the same way that they do. Healing comes when you see that previously the way that you were responded would have been completely negative. You're just not moved to respond like that anymore. Or when you start to see that the steps you're taking are leading in the direction of negativity, you know how to avoid it completely. you've done it so many times, the repetition is there, and you know that the fruit at the top of this this steps to this tree don't taste well, so you start to change the direction already.
Mm.
You know it because you've done it enough time, because you've went inside yourself, deep inside the self, and traced the lineage of mistakes back to the origin. And you see how they form, how they come, and you say, there's no longer any need for me to chase that or go down that path. I just don't need to do it. So, and to keep document of your progress without the ego attached to it. You enjoy the bliss, and this is what is called the developing of wisdom, or concentration that leads to wisdom. And to have enough love and compassion to yourself that you don't need someone else to have to go through these hula hoops and roller coasters just as much as you don't also. So you respond in a way that protects yourself and protects others from making negative mistakes within action, speech, and mindset. This is when you start to really feel that release, and you start to feel that expanding light inside the heart, and you start to instead of hear the barking of the dogs, you can hear the birds chirping. That's what you want.
I never thought about repetitive action or repetition as a factor in the healing process. So it sounds like what you're describing is that once you have, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I'm hearing. So you start by searching within yourself to find the origins of your behavior or of your experience. And once you've sourced that origin, your internal conversation is, I no longer need to respond this way to these situations.
Yeah.
And then you begin engaging in, every time this comes up, this is how I will respond, because this is who I'm choosing to be.
Yeah.
And with that repetitive motion, with that repetitive action is where you find the healing, when you no longer even have the inclination to behave in that old way.
Very true. It doesn't mean that situations change. And it doesn't all, I don't want to make it sound like it's black or white. Things do resemble one another. But like we said before, you'll never know until it's right there. So that means subconsciously, when things resemble something, go inside. Don't always look outside, but go inside. Make sure your face isn't all tore up. Make sure you're not responding in a way that you responded to the last event. Make sure that you don't start to react in a way that is setting the stage to reenact and recycle the last event. And then once you start to really check yourself and start to look around, and then when things start to pop up, the red flags start to pop up, it's okay to go ahead and start making evasive maneuvers for protection of the other people and yourself. That's one way. And the repetitive events are there so you can change them, and they will continue to happen in your life until you change them. And we're not just talking about, I keep eating hamburgers, so not something simple like that. I mean, like events like our peers. If we keep having the same negative results, maybe we need to look at our peer group and start to saying, well, if my peer group doesn't have the answer to the problems that I keep seeking answers to, maybe I need to do what? Change the peer group. Got to change the peer group. And maybe if I keep running into the same problems in my life because of the job skill that I had, maybe I need to change my job skill. Maybe the problems I have in my life, because I keep responding negatively or responding in a way that's not getting the correct results, I need to change my mindset. It is my mind that is telling me it's not giving me the correct answer. So that means that I'm listening to the wrong whispers of my own internal thoughts.
This is so important, and it's potentially transformative for so many aspects of the culture. Growing up in Louisiana, I would hear people say often things like, I can't win for losing.
Oh,
Oh, that right there, that
yeah,
mindset is the
yeah,
opposite of what you're describing. You're saying you keep losing, as you call it, right? You keep ending up in this situation, not because you're destined to lose, but
yeah.
because there's something for you to learn, something for you to change so that you can get a
Uh-huh.
different outcome. Or even when I hear, people complain about the opposite gender. Women are like this, men are like that. Well, maybe you keep ending up in these situations because of the peer group that you're selecting, right? That's what I hear you saying.
Yeah, we said in the beginning of our conversation, we are what we pay attention to. We
Mhm.
are what we react to. We are what we are surrounded by. And that is part of the repetition. You have to change it. He woke up dead. Oh, why?
Mm,
Even the things that we say out of our mouth that are very rooted in our subconscious, we have to reflect on, are they actually beneficial to the changing molecular structure of a liquid of our 70% liquefied body?
mm,
The way that you speak will change and alter as we spoke before, the way that we speak will alter and change water, and we are 70% liquid. So if we want to change and alter the way that we behave, the way that we think, then we need to start saying things that are going to reflect the positive God part, the God molecule, which is that the immaculate birth within ourselves.
mm,
You have to reinforce positive reinforcement, not constructive criticism. Don't nobody like to be criticized.
mm,
It's not constructive. No. You ain't building nothing up on me. It is positive reinforcement, not constructive criticism. That's has a negative tone to it already.
mm. I have to work on doing that to myself. I have to work on doing that to myself for sure.
Well, one of the things is one of the epithets or one of the epithets that the Buddha was named was the silent sage. He spoke when someone spoke to him, and he didn't answer all questions. He answered three ways: either in depth, quick and sweet, or quick and brief, or he didn't answer a question at all. And I
Mm,
think we could all benefit from that, and we can benefit from silence. If you be quiet, you can hear, see, and understand everything around you and inside of you. But the more you speak, the louder you become, and the quieter everything else around you and inside of you becomes also. So you can't reflect when your mouth is always flapping and your actions are always speaking. You got to sit down and be quiet and look, not just be quiet, but be quiet internally. Turn off that mind that's constantly going. Ignore it. Put it on autopilot. It hasn't been doing us much justice anyway. It's always been telling us and giving us whispers to do things that were contrary to our self-mastery and self-healing. It is the root cause of our own demise, is listening to the thoughts that are inside of our mind, but by a person we don't even know who's commandeering the ship. Is it
mm,
the basketball us? Is it the work us? Is it the family us? Is it the girlfriend us? Which one of us is in the ship today?
mm,
So it is very important to kind of break it down to silence and watch. Is it something that is going to influence contentment, or is it going to be something that is going to influence our entrapment?
Hmm. Whew. Now, you're talking about quieting ourselves, quieting our internal conversations as much as our external ones, right? And that makes me remember, I think that you offer meditation retreats or some sort of meditation teaching. Can you tell me about that?
I do. I do offer meditation retreats here in Thailand. Um, some of the for the uh, beginners, I can assist in low-level meditation retreats. But as far as the higher, more experienced meditator who is more familiar, I can take and guide you to masters of that craft so we can practice together and be involved in that experience, which is, just bring us together as one. As I said, I'm not a master at meditation, but I am the master of my own experience. And I'm working on a program right now to come back to America. Not exactly sure when to promote my book that is being edited at the moment, and to try to fund a way to open my own uh, mindfulness forest monastery somewhere in the Americas.
So you just dropped a lot of bombs on us, and I want to hear more about them if you can share. You are the first Black ordained Echo monk, and you've got your sights on more firsts. So, what it sounds like you're describing would be the first international Black community for this type of practice. Am I right?
You are right. I'm looking to open up the first monastery, or a place for practitioner and monastery for people, especially people of the Black, African, Aboriginal. I know those names are very, very controversial, but people of melanated background and descent. Uh, First monastery that is built in remembrance of our struggle and our history and our what do you call that? Our benefits that we have given to the world using the Buddha, the Dharma, and the companions of the Buddha as a guiding light to help us to receive our potential and keep promoting it without attachments.
Brilliant. So I would love to know, or for the people to know, including myself, how can we enlist ourselves in your meditation retreats? How can we support your upcoming ventures? And where could we purchase your book when it's ready?
The book is still in the details, and I am completely thrilled. I'm anxious about that. This is my first time. I never thought in my life I could write a book that big. I never thought I could ever do like that. That's something I never, so it's really exciting for me, and that is to be determined. And I will definitely keep you guys updated. The best way to get in contact with me, and if you would like to provide donations, is on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. You can find me at Bhante Panna, just the way it's spelled, BhantePanna, or you can find me on YouTube at Brother on the Path on YouTube, and also on Facebook, Black Buddhist Monk, Black Buddhist Society, Black Meditation Matters, uh, um, uh, 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 Black Lives Meditate. You can also find me through those hashtags.
Wonderful. And to support whenever you do come to the States or wherever you'll be fundraising, do you have any way that we can begin to support you in that right now? Or is that something that we should look out for on your various platforms?
Look out on the various platforms. The reason why I do have a PayPal, but they're making changes because of Thailand, so I have to find a new way to get international credit. It's kind of sad, but I have to find out how to receive international funds in a new moment. I'm trying to open a new, different account. Although I do have a direct bank account, but I'm trying to work that out at the moment, unfortunately. So PayPal for the time being, though.
Okay, that works. And I understand. I'm moving away from PayPal for my business as well. Their fees are just too high.
Oh my God, they're getting rid of it out of the country, where you can only use PayPal to pay, but you can't receive international money, and it's
Really?
international currency. So, well, that makes it hard for people like myself that works on donations. You know, my
Mhm.
donations don't come from Thailand mostly. It comes from outside for people who want to support my purpose, and it makes it really difficult. So I'm opening. I think it's called Wise Transfer. See if that'll work out. If not, they can do direct deposits to my bank account.
Okay. Well, I and everyone at Raven Thistle Live are here to support, and we're your biggest fans. So, as
Yay!
your methods of communicating with the world change, you can count on us to share them with our audiences here. Um, and and I just want to thank you again so much for coming on the show, for being so
Sure.
generous with your wisdom with us today and going so deep. Thank you for answering the questions of myself and of our viewers. And before you go, would you just share if there's one takeaway from this conversation that you would like everyone to carry if they forget everything else? What's the one thing that you want them to remember?
Well, I do want to remember that don't take your mind serious. Don't take your thoughts serious. Okay, they're constantly changing. They're looking like you think of yourself like a fish that is flying, excuse me, that is swimming through a river that has a whole bunch of worms that are on the ends of hooks of fishing hooks. Okay, they're always trying to entrap you with something that is enticing. Stick firmly to your goal to get to your destination. Don't get caught up by taking the worm on the hook. Those are your mythical berries. Your peace is right here within inside of you, not with outside. Take your breath as your own passionate friend and have a laugh at all the voices in your mind that are trying to force you to do something or to not do something. Don't just leave them to do what they're going to come back and forth. It's you that's got control. Spread love, kindness, and forgivingness to everybody around you, even those who are difficult, and live a light, happy, positive life. And time is short, so make your breaths longer and make your good deeds longer than this short period that we have on this life.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. As always, thank you so much. I would love it if you'd come back on the show sometime soon,
Yeah, I'd love to.
uh, especially around the time that you are releasing your book. We'd love to hear all about it. You
Sure.
have a fantastic day. I know it's morning there in Thailand, so I hope this
Yeah.
starts off your day on the right track.
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to our conversation with the first ordained Black Akawat monk, Bhante Panna. And as he shared, you can follow him like I do on Instagram and YouTube at Bro on the Path on Instagram, at Brother on the Path on YouTube. And look out on Raven Thistle Live platforms to find direct links to all of the ways to get in touch with him. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, this episode is sponsored by In Ritual, a life coaching organization which is dedicated to deepening and cultivating the spiritual lives of Black men. If you are interested in getting spiritual life coaching through In Ritual, you can email inritual@gmail.com, or you can follow In Ritual on TikTok and DM them at In Ritual. That's ENRITUAL. Thank you so much for tuning in to Raven Thistle Live tonight. You will not want to miss next week's show. We will have Sonye Park, who is an international sensation in the yoga community as well as in holistic health. She will teach us the diet of our lives. So tune in next Sunday, same time, and I cannot wait to see you there. Have a fantastic night, beautiful world. Signing off.